Okay, so part two. Sorry, I just kind of shut off. I didn't know the time restraints on my webcam and YouTube. So, part two. Um, at the ER, I didn't even know we were there for 5 hours. I thought I was there for 30 minutes, and then I was flight to life to a different hospital. So, I was at under the care of a high risk doctor. And like I said, when I was at the ER, excuse me, my platelets were fine. By the time 9 minutes flight to the other hospital, my platelets had dropped dramatically. So they were freaked out because when your platelets drop, there's the chance of like bleeding out. Like you won't clot, and I don't even know. So I signed all these forms. The craziest thing is they have me sign. I'm already on the, oh gosh, magnesium sulfate cells? I don't know. I can't think if you read about it. I'm sure, let me check real quick if I can find this. Science and tip. It's a drug to help with seizures. Now I wish I would remember. The drug is horrible. That's all I know. Horrible, horrible drug. Anyway, they had me sign a release form saying that if they need to, they can take my uterus. I was in no state of mind to be signing papers like that. Like I would not sign it. Please, save my life. That would be nice. So I went in to have my emergency C-section, and the woman who did it is actually a fellow. She's doing her fellowship there, so she called in her doctor that she was learning under, and then the general doctor, because she didn't know what she was getting into. So they got the baby out. He was fine. Thank goodness he did have those shots because it really did help with his lung development. And then this is the bizarre thing. So it's an emergency C-section, so I have a scar going vertical on from like pretty much an inch below my belly button down to my pubic bone. They had to make it so big because they pretty much took my intestines out and went up to check my liver. Lovely, isn't it? So I was pretty much disemboweled on the table, and they wanted to make sure that my liver had not ruptured or that I was hemorrhaging out of any of my other organs, because that's what happens. Your liver ruptures, and then because of your low blood count or low platelets, you just start bleeding from everything. Luckily, as the doctor said, they got Dylan out just in time, and we're talking minutes is what she told me. So sewed me back up and went in. I think when I went in back, I didn't even realize that was no longer carrying my son. I was so out of it. I had such bad drugs in me, and it's just horrible. That being said, so I recover in my room, whatever. I got to see, I don't even know, my husband did all this. Seriously, 4 days of my life, totally blank. I was so drugged, and that's the horrible thing is, like, I didn't even get to enjoy 4 days of my son's being here. Like, I was just not myself. But actually, right, I'm not thinking of pictures, and I do remember some of it. As I was being rolled into my room to recover, they swung by the NICU, and I got to see my son for the first time, and that was just, it made it real that I'd actually had him. I'm sorry, I'm totally gonna cry, and I'm sure you can understand why. But like, I stuck my hand in his little incubator isolette, and he had such a good grip. He just hung onto my finger. It was so cute. His little hands were just tiny. He was 2 pounds 5 ounces, 15 inches long. But that's light for a 29-year-old, 29-week-old. He should have been a little bit bigger. So I'm recovering. He's doing good. I get to see him. My husband changes his diapers, and every 4 hours he gets to go in there, and because he gets messed with and fed and whatnot. So I was pumping, so he was on breast milk. Gosh. So that was the 14th. 4 days later, um, I went home. Oh man, recovering from a C-section. Oh God, it's horrible. And unfortunately, I'll probably have another one with my second child, but I feel so sorry for those women who've had them, and it's horrible. And I don't know if it was worse because like my whole intestines and everything was rearranged, and I had my liver was inflamed. Everything was just bad, and I was just not in good shape. But I don't know. I made it through. I mean, the first night the nurses came in literally every 15 minutes, drew blood, checked on me to make sure I was still ticking, and I was. So 4 days go, and I meandered towards Dylan a few times. I got a hold on my think on the second or third day. I want to say third day because the second day I was not there mentally to even walk down there and hold him. But I did get a hold of him, which was so weird. It's like holding nothing at 2 pounds. He was so tiny. So I gotta hurry up. This is gonna be part 3. Um, so we went home and we were going to the hospital every day. My husband was going back to work because he was on this crazy project, and so he was doing that. And so when he'd come home at like 2, and we'd go down and do like that, and then if we wanted to, we'd stay another 4 hours and do a later visit. On the so exciting! So I had the 23rd, I had my baby shower, which I was a wreck that day. Like, I was going to my baby shower without my baby in my belly. That's not how I wanted it. And I was just emotional, sad. But I had it, and that was great. And that night, when we were driving to the hospital to see him, we were talking about how, because he was on, God, I can't even think of it. I don't know, oxygen, but it was like over his face, so you really couldn't see him, and he had all these things on his head. And we were saying how exciting it would be when he would finally just be on like a nasal oxygen. So that night we go, and he's on the nasal oxygen. We were so excited, and he was doing so good. Yeah, he was doing great. Wasn't having many brady's where his like heart rate slows down. So he was doing good, and the nurse was like, "Yeah, he's awesome. He's hanging in there." And the next day, so we go home the next day, probably like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, the hospital calls us. And that's never a good sign when they're calling. To tell us that he had developed an infection and it was serious, but he's been given antibiotics, and we'll see how he does. So we would have gone down, and this is one of our regrets, we would have gone down right then and there to be by our baby's side. But we had an insurance guy at the house for a meeting because we were in a fire here in Boulder, and we were having insurance things. So it needed to be done, and we were like, okay, well, it's an hour meeting, we'll just go and wait. Well, before that meeting was even over, they called back and they said that his condition has declined significantly, and that he had NEC, which is necrolizing, hang on, necrolizing enterocolitis. Yeah, sounds fancy, doesn't it? Well, it's crap. So he was going to have to go into surgery. So let me, before my time runs out, actually, no, I'll just read it. Okay. So this is what NEC is. And I'll give you, so, gosh, there's just so many. A gastrointestinal disease that mostly affects premature infants. NEC involves infections and inflammation that causes destruction of the bowel or parts of the bowel. Although it affects only 1 in 2,000 to 4,000 births, between 1 and 5% of neonatal intensive care administrations. NEC is the most common and serious gastrointestinal disorder among hospitalized preterm infants. Yeah, great. And it usually occurs 2 weeks of life, usually after milk feeding has begun. It happens in about 10% of babies weighing less than 3 pounds, which he was. Um, so it's because his bowels are immature and he can't handle the food because the blood flow to it is restricted, and the bacteria normally found in intestines invade and change and damage the walls of the intestinal tissue, which may damage a segment or segments um, of the intestines, which he did. And it actually, coming to find out, it had ruptured, and so there was bowel like in his abdomen cavity, which is never good because it becomes just gross. So they went in. He went into surgery. Oh, so horrible. Me feeling like crap. I just had a major operation, and now my son is having an operation as well at 9 days old. Nobody wants that. So I don't know. It was like an hour and a half um, long surgery. They called somebody in from the children's hospital to do the surgery. They removed, gosh, I can just remember just the doctor sitting there. They removed like 75% of his intestines. 75%. You think to yourself, how can he possibly live a normal life? And then this is what was going through our heads: is this isn't the life that we wanted for our child? To have like just this horrible thing to have to deal with. I mean, the doctor said, "Oh, he'll be fine. He won't be eating pizza with his friends on Friday, but he'll live if he makes it through this next 24 hours." So lots and lots and lots of mixed emotions. I'm gonna stop here and I'll do a part 3. Sorry, guys.